So I'm joined by Gerry Duffy, who is known as the 32 marathon man. But in actual fact, Gerry, I think you've gone way over 70 plus marathons at this stage.
I have, yeah. I don't personally count them. It's somewhere north of 70. I'm not sure if it's 71 or 76. I actually don't know. I do it for fun. That's why I run marathons, do ultra marathons. And you know, it's something that I'm passionate about. I'm sure people watching this are passionate about their things. For me, one of the things I'm passionate about 5 or 6 different things. But one of them is definitely not necessarily marathons, but fitness.
Yeah.
And best managing this vehicle, which your body is a vehicle, because it takes us to all of our goals. So I find the fitter I can make it, the more it will help me, you know, in all of the different goals that I have in my life.
Well, as I'm preparing for my first half marathon on the 4th of March in Kinvara, and that's me seeking accountability from my viewers and from you, then, you know, I must perfect this vehicle as well.
This is live.
Out there. Yeah. So it's day 2 of the Pendulum Summit, and we've just heard from Keith Ferrazzi for a second time, and he talks about organisational and psychological behaviour in the workplace. Now, Gerry, you do a lot of this personal development with corporates here in Ireland and in the United States as well. Are you hearing a lot of the stuff that you already know and that you're trying to impart into organisations?
Well, it's interesting because as you say, we've been here for a day and a half. What the viewers don't know is that's the third time you've heard me speak, because you were socialising with Mr. Ferrazzi last night. Yes, you forgot to tell them that. There you go. But yeah, like it's interesting, you know, different speakers speaking about different things, about, you know, Keith Ferrazzi speaking about how to get the best from people, you know, Keith Cunningham, an incredible business speaker, and, you know, a man that's running companies turning over hundreds of millions, and his strategies are incredibly simple, like find out what your customers want, go and get it and give it to them. Like, people might trivialize or say, you know, it is more complex than that, but in reality it isn't. So anybody coming to Pendulum looking for you know, brand new ideas, you know, they're common sense ideas, but sometimes they're so commonsensical. Actually, if we're being really honest, where's the evidence that we're actually doing them? And if we're not achieving our goals, or maybe just try these common sense things, do them to, one of the things I speak about is, you know, the different standards. And I believe there's 5. There's poor, average, good, excellent, or the best of your ability. And if you just take these principles and apply them to the best of your ability, you might shock yourself at what you're capable of achieving.
Now, this is my very first Pendulum Summit, and I have to admit that throughout my life, and certainly over the last 15 years of my professional career, I've invested so much in my professional self. And, you know, after the first day and a half, I'm going, Jesus, did I omit the personal JSB? I know they're interconnected, but it's really kind of waking up my awareness and consciousness as to how much we can actually develop ourselves that will obviously impact on the business self.
Well, it's interesting, you know, on that, you know, there's a big role model of mine is a man called Jim Rohn. He said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And another one of his nuggets is, it's what the book will cost you if you don't read it. You know, there's so much incredible information out there, you know, that we could apply. The big thing that I heard lots of people saying it last night, I asked 4 or 5 people, what's the big takeaway for you? And interestingly, they all said the same thing, it's about taking action.
Yeah.
And that's not complex, that's not new, that's been out there for thousands of years, but that holds so many people back, just the ability to actually drive on and take action. And, you know, if we only get that from it and we follow through on that, I think it's an incredible investment of you and I over the last 2 days.
Now, there's over 2,000 people here in the convention centre in Dublin. A lot of CMOs, CIOs and CEOs, so a lot of people from the business and the corporate world. The people who are watching this are probably individuals, solopreneurs like Marie Claire and I and yourself. What would you say to those people? How can they start to swing their own personal pendulum? Is it a book that they should read? Is it coming to an event? I know there's lots of events. You're speaking at the one in Galway this weekend with Pat Dively. What one thing can they do to start them on that personal development journey?
Well, I think it's number one to have a vision of what the future looks like, because the future has nothing planned for any of us. So what does the future look like for you? Then looking at yourself, because ultimately, if it's going to be, it's up to you. You know, looking at, well, what relative to that vision, you know, what do I want to achieve? What specific goal could I extract from it? What should I do? What could I do? You know, what am I in control of? You know, what could I do this week? We've heard all the speakers saying just about taking tiny little progresses, but it's the sum of the progresses. Sometimes we look at a big goal and say, it's so big. But it's a series of thousands of tiny little steps, and those steps need to be taken. And if you just take the first one, it leads you to the second one. You know, you're more in the game. It might motivate you a little bit more to drive on to the third stage. And again, nothing complex in that, but it is very complex if we don't have the ability or don't have the motivation to actually do it. You know, so simply, what am I in control of? What's the first thing I should do? When will I do it?
What I love from Lisa Nichols yesterday is that she said, you know, I had a goal. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I took the first step and I took some action, and I absolutely love that, because I think that fear paralyzes progress. And when we have a goal but we don't know what the how-to is, and we wait for the how-to, and she said, don't wait for the how-to, because once you start, it will come.
One of the big things I would align with that, if I could suggest, is when you're thinking about that, also capture, and what I mean by capture is to physically write it, because you're more in the game then. Why do you want this goal? Because the why, if your why is strong enough, the why is the intrinsic motivator. The why is why you'll do it when you're not in the mood. Yeah. So very often we have very commendable whys, but we don't tap into them because they're lost somewhere in the back of our brain, in the back of our mind. So when we hit a wall on route to our goals, because we don't haven't acquired this ability yet, you know, what I encourage people to do is write down the goals and write down why they want to go, and to leave them in different places. If you hit a wall, force yourself to go back to the wall, look at your goal, look at why you want it, attach some emotion to that, and I find it, you know, it's a safety net to catch you just when you mightn't want to do it, and to, again, just to drive on. So I just find it very useful to capture the why, because the why, you know, commitment is doing it when you're not in the mood. It's very easy to do things and to be committed to things when you're in the mood, but very often to achieve our goals, we've got to do it when we're not in the mood. Yeah. You know, when we're away from the lights. And Muhammad Ali said, I won all my medals long before I danced under the lights. So yeah, I just find the why it's so powerful. It's a friend to help you achieve a goal.
Okay. Delighted to speak to you as always, Gerry Duffy. Give me some little nuggets of mindset tips now for my half marathon, because I don't want to battle it. I signed up for a half marathon 2 years ago. I was running 10 miles and I didn't do it because I got the fear. How can I prevent that this time?
Two things I would suggest to you is this as a motivation is, one is, do you have to do the marathon or do you get to do the marathon? That's a simple mindset shift, you know, and maybe just to reflect and consider somebody in your life, in your network, maybe in your universe that would love to be doing that half marathon but that can't for whatever reason, and maybe let them inspire you to drive on, and to realize once you start the half marathon, there is somebody guaranteed to be 13.1 miles from where you are at that moment in time. Once you keep moving forward, it is guaranteed that they're going to be there. But your job is to get there. It does not come back to you.
Brilliant. Always a pleasure.
Thank
you so much.